consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1, 2 through 4. I've been meditating on that scripture a lot lately. I've had it memorized for a while, but I've really been repeating it to myself multiple times a day because of the challenges that I've been facing recently. This episode is more geared towards myself, which a lot of them really are reminders to myself, and I'm speaking to myself more than I am to anybody else. But it just had me really thinking that we all face trials and challenges every single day. And whether they're big or small is totally irrelevant. There's still challenges and trials for you, but I always take comfort in knowing that God's not going to give me any more than I can handle. But there are definitely days where I feel like He's giving me more than I can handle. And recent months, with the gym building and the gym process, it's been a real challenge to navigate that whole process of getting this building to the finish line and taking care of all the other things that Hill and I are responsible for with the restaurants, rental properties, our family, things like that. It's just been real hard to navigate all of that, especially when, restaurants, real estate in general, like wheelhouse for me. I can get right in there. I can just dive in. I can take care of it. But helping coordinate things for a building, especially a building that size, is definitely not in my wheelhouse. But what I've found is with anything, once I set my mind to it, I get hyper focused on getting it done, making calls. And I've also realized that over the course of all the businesses Hill and I have been involved in, we're super blessed to have a lot of connections with other businesses, other professions. So that way, when I've had to kind of step in and work on this gym, I've been able to contact people in different fields to get advice or to get quotes or things like that, that if it wasn't for all the things that God has put in our path leading up to this project, I would not have been able to make those calls and get those people to help. So, I'm just super grateful and blessed for that, but at the same time, it just feels like the challenge is overbearing at times. But I'm reminded when I read over that passage in James, how we're supposed to lean into those trials and challenges in our life so that way we rely more on God for the help. We rely on Him for the answers. We rely on Him for the guidance and comfort. And that's really hard to do at times when you feel like the weight of the world is bearing down on you, and it's hard to even get going in the day, or you've got so many things on your list. I feel like there's days I take 10 things off my list, but I add 12. So I feel like I just spun my wheels, but I'm still getting things accomplished. I'm still staying focused. But it's just a reminder, because I know that for me, I would still rather my challenges be because of, I've seen the challenges with people having poor health, or when my mom got sick and fought cancer twice and how she lost the second time. Those challenges to me are just way harder than something like working on a business or getting a project done, even if it's not on time or over budget. Those are small things compared to having cancer or facing a tragedy like losing a loved one or something. So a lot of it's just perspective. And I think that we all have to be reminded of that a lot of this is perspective, the challenges and trials that we're facing each and every day, whether it's an extreme challenge or just a small bump in the road that day. I know for you guys, Chapman, you guys have faced obviously plenty of trials and challenges. I know you've got some coming up. How are you approaching some of these challenges and trials that you guys are facing?
Yeah, obviously, don't need to get into it, but we've got, a good change in our business coming up in the next month that's going to require Callie and I to be in there a lot more. Isaiah's starting preschool, so that's going to, that's 3 hours every morning, every week, every day of the week, and whole schedule change, and we're trying not to freak out about it. We know we can handle it, but we're lucky to where the size of our business is. We can handle it with one person as needed, and we've never had to be in there, every single day, every hour of the day. But with switching out staff, things like that, it's something that's more than likely going to have to happen. And we know we can do it. Like, there's not a doubt that we can handle this, and we can take over tasks that we're not used to or switch things up. And from where we're looking at it, from our point of view, is it's been almost 8 years we've been running the business, and we're going to change up some things. We're going to make things a little bit different, whether it's easier or whatever that is. That's kind of what we're gearing this towards. Instead of facing it as more of a challenge, we're like, what can we do different? What can we change? What can we do something that maybe we've always wanted to do that we're going to make sure we have time for?
How can we make things
now.
more efficient? How can we save some money without it necessarily costing us more time, but something that we never thought of before because we could kind of coast with the schedule maybe.
Right. And for me, I've had the opportunity to work, a couple different other things, whether it's for you or the gym or whatever else, along with being in TLC. But this is now, for the next probably at least 5-6 months, is going to take up the majority of my time. And all I'm doing is already starting a list of, I'm going to have time to do this and this and this, things I probably should have done or maybe had focused time on, before this change had happened. But now, being in there and being more involved than I probably ever have been in the business, I'm almost taking it as a positive thing, I guess.
Well, yeah, just like that passage from James, consider it pure joy whenever you face these trials, because it's an opportunity to grow your faith, to rely on God more, to provide for you and Callie, to figure out what are the next best steps for your business. Maybe it's a shift that happens that you guys get more family time in the end because of the challenge, because you guys have to think about how can we do things more efficiently or differently to be more effective, to be more efficient with our time. And Hill and I have had that off and on for years upon years in the restaurant world. You lose a GM at one store and our schedules dramatically shift, but we were always intentional about how do we get it back to being efficient as opposed to just covering shifts. How do we make the business stronger because of it? Nothing against the person that left at all. It's never about that. It's at the end of the day, when you're the owner, the chips fall on you. So at the end of the day, you have to be the one to answer the call. You have to be the one to rise up to the occasion to take care of the challenge of losing somebody or whatever the situation might be with your business. It's all on you to figure out, and hopefully you grow from it. That's the goal, is to grow and get better from it.
Right, and that's what I was telling Callie yesterday. I said, this change that's happening, it's not costing us any money. If anything, it's saving us money, and in the process, we're going to be able to change and grow our business in a different way than we maybe would have had planned a month ago. Mm-hmm. And getting into our busy season, getting into something that a time of year that hopefully we're going to have even a better set schedule, which we've never had. Mm-hmm. Ideally, that's what we're going to go for as well. So, yes, there's some negatives, but I think the positives in this occasion for us, we're making sure they outweigh those negatives.
Right. And another, something like small. Like, for example, right before I came here, a member came into the gym. I just got done working out, and he said, "Hey, somebody went through your neighbor at the donut shop, their dumpster, and just threw a bunch of trash all over the ground, out on the side of the building." I didn't notice it when I came in because I always park in the front. He's like, I'd be so mad about that. And just, he was acting angry about it. And I said, hey, if I let stuff like that bother me, I'd get nothing done. That is such a small thing for me to deal with compared to the things I deal with on a daily basis. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't bother me. He was just kind of shocked. Like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it's all right. You're telling me the worst thing is I might have to have somebody, or I might have to clean up some trash? I mean, that's small potatoes compared to the potential things I could have to deal with today. whether it's a business thing or a family thing, anything like that. And that just comes from perspective. That comes from dealing with things and facing challenges and trials and having to work through them over years and years and years, that the small things, if you let those bother you, you're doomed to fail, because then that's going to rub off on the people around you. Then they're going to get down over small things. You have to be able to rise up to the occasion and put things into perspective. And at the end of the day, is it really going to, like, something like that's not going to affect the outcome of my day at all? But you have to be able to be mentally strong enough to put it in perspective on the spot, and not let that person that's trying, I mean, he wasn't meaning to try and make me angry, but he was visibly angry about it for me. And I just had to put it in perspective for him of, it's not that big of a deal. We'll get it taken care of, or I'll talk to them since it's their dumpster. Somebody will get it taken care of. It's not the end of the world. But this episode, especially for me, is just a reminder of how we are all facing things. We're all facing trials and challenges. That's just something I have to have a better perspective of, because when I'm talking to somebody, I need to be more aware that they are going through something as well. It's not just, when I do let frustration take over, even a small thing, but most of the time it's a big thing. I have to be mindful that they are also going through some sort of challenge, whether it's big or small. It's still a challenge for them, and I have to try and keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, I just take comfort knowing that God's not going to give me any more than I can handle. I tell myself that every day, and I just put the next foot in front of the other, and I just keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, if you're staying still, you're being complacent and you're moving backwards. But you have to always be intentional about moving forward and really facing those trials, just taking heart and knowing that God's got you and you're going to get through it. And hopefully you have other people that you can talk to and work through. A lot of these challenges lately, especially business-wise, I'm lucky and blessed to have some relationships now that I've formed in the professional world where I can call and get some advice on how to handle it and be able to take care of it that way, as opposed to just bottling it up. And that used to be something that I struggled with doing, for sure. But at the end of the day, perseverance is so important. Truly embracing the trials and challenges that you have coming at you and just taking them head on.